This podcast is brought to you by Voice and Vision, bringing help, hope, and healing to individuals, families, and communities affected by mental illness, addictions, and disabilities in southeastern Pennsylvania.
Welcome to Untold Valor, a podcast with a unique focus on veterans, featuring stories of courage, recovery, perseverance, and strength. Listen to hear veterans share their perspectives on what it's like to battle mental health challenges, combat addictions, and overcome other adversities unique to those who have served.
Time once again for another edition of Untold Valor, Veterans Recovery in Action. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast, where we hopefully provide a unique focus on veterans with stories of courage, recovery, perseverance, and strength. Listen as veterans and family members and loved ones share their perspective on what it's like to battle mental health challenges, combat addictions, and overcome adversities unique to those who have served. So we're going to have a great conversation this week with Reverend Ben once again. And also, Heather Sliwinski is joining us, so we're looking forward to talking with Heather. She is with Honor and Courage Foundation, so we're going to talk to her about that and get into some great conversation with her as well. So, Reverend Ben, thank you for being here, buddy. How are you?
Well, fantastic, Mark. How are you doing? How are you, Heather?
I'm doing great.
Good to be
Fantastic.
here. Yeah, great to be here. Heather, thank you so much for being here. Hopefully I got your name correct on there, Sliwinski. Hopefully I said that right. Well, thank you so much for being here. So let's kick it in how we usually do. I usually tell folks to just tell us a little bit about their background, just to kind of get us up to speed a little bit. And obviously you want to talk about the foundation today and events you've got going on here pretty soon, but just kind of catch us up to speed on yourself.
Sure. Thanks for having me on. And my name is Heather Sliwinski. I'm the CEO and founder of the Honor and Courage Foundation. I'm also the mother of 6 kids, my youngest being a infantry Marine veteran. He's also in the Marine Corps Reserves right now. And he's the one that helped us get the ball rolling with the Honor and Courage Foundation when he was only 11 years old.
Oh, wow. That's pretty awesome. How did that story come about?
So when 9/11 happened, I started to collect items from the neighborhood. I ended up sending flyers out. I put 2 big red, white, and blue bins in the driveway and started collecting baby wipes, chapstick, beef jerky, anything that I thought that the troops overseas that were fighting the war on terror would enjoy.
Sure.
The response was overwhelming. I ended up I was sending all this stuff overseas out of my own pocket, and I ended up taking a lot of it down to Walter Reed Military Medical Center. And once I stepped through those doors, that's where my heart was with the wounded. And during that time, I was taking my youngest son with me, who was probably about 5 or 6 years old at the time. And he just gravitated towards our wounded warriors. And throughout the years, he started to notice that our veterans with PTSD were falling through the cracks. It's an invisible injury, so you really can't tell that they're injured.
Right.
So when he was 11 years old, he came to me with a blueprint of everything that he thought would be beneficial to these veterans with post-traumatic stress, a team of wounded warrior mentors, a hotline, different programs. And he sat down and said, "This is my idea. How do you make it come alive?" So
wow.
At that point, the Honor and Courage program was born. He wanted to launch it on September 11th in honor of our September 11th, the victims of the terror attacks.
Right.
So we became a program underneath of another nonprofit called Operation Ward 57. So we were a program underneath of them for about 12 years. And about 2 years ago, we branched off since the war on terror has stopped for now, hopefully. We were focusing on the PTSD injuries with our veterans, not so much on the physical injury. And
right.
God forbid if a war starts, we know how to jump right back into that again.
Wow.
So here we are now, and supporting and taking care of the vets with post-traumatic stress.
Well, that's an amazing story, and kudos to the young man, who's obviously not a young man anymore, but for doing that. So fantastic. Yeah. That's awesome. Ben, that's pretty...
He has since gone on. He's the one that turned into the Marine.
Yeah. That's what you were saying. So that's a pretty great story, Ben.
Yes, it is. It shows how you take one step forward, how God will put you in the right direction, especially if you have good intentions.
Yeah.
For helping others.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's definitely got a heart for that. Yeah, for sure. So, and I know, of course, I see here on your bio, you also got the certified therapy dog, Reckless.
Yes, I do.
So.
He's laying right next to me.
What an interesting, Reckless. What a great name, right?
Yeah, he's actually named after Sergeant Reckless, the war horse from the Korean War.
Oh, awesome. Very
Yep.
cool.
She was the only horse that was an actual Marine.
That is awesome. Well, that's just good stuff all around. Well, let's get into the foundation a little bit. So tell us about the foundation and, some of the things that you're working on and, the focus and all that good kind of stuff. And of course, as always, we'll put links in the show descriptions here of the podcast for those who would like to check that out and maybe get involved or donate or whatever the case might be. So inform us a little bit on that.
Yeah, sure. So the programs that we have underneath of the, in the Honor and Courage Foundation, one of our most successful programs is the Stellate Ganglion Block program, which a lot of people are not familiar with. It's a very simple procedure. It's an injection at the base of your neck in the stellate ganglion nerves. And it is, I want to say, shutting down the symptoms of PTSD. It's literally life-altering in such a positive way that when our veterans with post-traumatic stress get this procedure, they tell me that within minutes, they feel a difference.
Wow.
Within minutes. Yes. However, the VA does not pay for it. I think there are 2 VAs in the country right now that they do pay for it. Most do not. It costs about $2,500 to have this procedure. And that's where the Honor and Courage Foundation will step in and will cover the cost of that. The veterans are vetted. They will sit down it's Dr. Sean Lynch that we use. He's in Bethesda, Maryland, and we'll pay for transportation to bring a veteran in, hotel lodging, and we'll pay for the procedure.
That's amazing.
So that's one of our most successful programs. I'm really proud of it, and it's changing and saving the lives of our veterans that are suffering with post-traumatic stress.
And if there's,
so that's one of.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say, and where is there like a website we can direct folks to if they'd like to learn more?
Yeah. So if they go to our website, honorandcouragefoundation.org, we have a page on our website dedicated to the Stellate Ganglion Block. It'll talk to you about it a little bit more. And there's links on there where you can find out more about, Dr. Lynch and his practice. And of course, if there's a veteran that's on the West Coast, there are other places that will do the procedure and well referred to by Dr. Lynch.
Gotcha. And again, that was honorandcouragefoundation.org. So if you'd like to check that out, and we'll have that in the show notes as well. So I'm sorry, just wanted to kind of jump in on that. So continue on.
Heather, before you go on, I wanted to ask you a question. Does this procedure also assist veterans with anxiety?
Yes, it does. So any of the symptoms that are associated with post-traumatic stress, it will help alleviate those. So depression, anxiety, sleep issues, it helps with all of that.
Very cool. Very cool. So again, honorandcouragefoundation.org, you can check that out. There's the events tab. We'll talk about the events here in just a minute. Programs on there you can check out. There's a donate section, all sorts of good stuff there. So go check that out. So anyway, continue on, Miss Heather.
Another one of our programs that we have is our hotline. We have a 24/7 hotline. And I want to touch on that a little bit because a lot of people think that the veterans who are calling this hotline are the Iraq, Afghanistan, younger veterans. Okay. And they do. They do call the hotline, but I would say about 60% of the calls that come in are from Vietnam veterans. So over 50 years after the Vietnam War, our Vietnam veterans are still suffering with post-traumatic stress. Post-traumatic stress, there's not a cure for it. So it does not go away.
Right.
You learn coping skills with it, or this procedure that I've talked about. So our Vietnam veterans are still struggling, and they just have a special place in my heart. They didn't have a welcome home. So we actually have a program that's specific to our Vietnam veterans as well. So if a Vietnam veteran calls us and they're in financial need or whatever they might need, we're going to assist them. We'll help them out.
Yeah.
So the hotline and the Vietnam veteran program, that's 2 more programs that we have. Coming up, actually, we have a holiday program. So we will assist veterans and their families and Gold Star families who are in need at Christmas time or Hanukkah. We will match them up with sponsors. So this is a really successful program because we have about, oh my goodness, I would say 200 to 300 sponsors that will take one or multiple families to assist them at Christmas time. So it's a great program to allow veterans who are struggling financially to give their kids and their families a holiday.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. And yeah, the Vietnam veteran program is definitely near and dear to me as well. My 2 favorite uncles were in the Vietnam War and have some Agent Orange issues, so can certainly relate to that. As well. So again, go check all that information out. Lots of good stuff, and we'll have it in the show descriptions for you if you'd like to get involved. So you also have another upcoming event, which you wanted to talk a little bit about, and that is coming up pretty quickly.
Yeah, this Saturday. Yes, this Saturday. It's our 11th annual Honor and Courage 5K and Salute to Heroes car show. It's our most successful event throughout the year that gives us the funding to allow to do those stellate ganglion blocks and help these veterans to the best of our ability. So it makes me happy to know that when our supporters come out, every penny is going back into this foundation to help our veterans. So when you register for the 5K or the walk, if you don't like to run, we have a walk, we have a kids run, the car show registrations, all of that goes right back into the foundation to help these veterans.
That's awesome.
So,
Ben, are you running or are you walking, buddy?
I'm going to be sitting at the table, but I'll be watching those walking and running, and then when they come, I'll have a cold drink for them.
There you go.
There you go.
If it wasn't so far away, I'd come bring my classic car and be in the car show. That sounds like a lot of fun, but it's a little too far for me.
Yeah, we get a lot of great cars.
Yeah, I'm sure. So if folks want to get involved, if they want to help or whatever, again, they can find all this information at honorandcourage.org, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So tell us a little bit, one of the things that we talk about here on the show is not only trying to provide resources like we just did for some of the things, but, just the struggles in general. So you've been doing this, looking at your bio, you've been helping, for a very long time in this field. What's some of the big hurdles that you see people facing? Like if somebody's listening, they're thinking, yeah, that all sounds great, or I'm a little nervous about this, or I'm afraid to kind of open up. What are some of the challenges that you see and maybe thoughts that you might share on how to, kind of get past that or take that first step, I suppose?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one of the biggest triggers with PTSD is stress and financial stress. So we have a program that will help alleviate financial stress as well with rent, utility bills, car payments, that sort of thing. And it allows a veteran to, reach out to us if they're struggling. Our veterans have pride, and it's really hard for them to reach out sometimes to ask for financial help. And we just want to make that as comfortable as possible. When they call our hotline, mm-hmm. Everything is confidential. It is not shared. And honestly, one of the biggest questions that I get on the hotline is, are you a psychologist? Because I don't want to be diagnosed with something. They don't want that, especially for the younger veterans. They don't want that on their record. So it makes them feel very comfortable to open up, talk about the things that they're struggling with. And when they do reach out to us, we'll give them the option of having a mentor. So we have a team of mentors that have, they're wounded warriors, either with the invisible injury or physical injuries, and we'll pair them up. So if we have a Marine that calls and wants to speak to another Marine and learn coping skills, we'll pair them up, and that person will stay with them for as long as they need. And that's what I'm really proud about the Honor and Courage Foundation as well, because when you reach out to us for help, it's not just a one and done type of situation. You become part of our family. We stay in touch with you. We do follow-up calls, and when we just bring you in to, become part of our family, and, we'll bring you into our events, and it's just awesome to see, because it's a support network is so important to our veterans. And it's what they struggle with when they're in the military. They have a great team around them. They miss that. When they get out, that team kind of dissipates across the country. One person lives in Texas, one person, their buddies are scattered. And it gives them the ability to be part of a team again.
Yeah, that's a great point for sure, Ben, right? I mean, sometimes, and this is what you do as well, sometimes having someone that you can talk to that just can talk the talk and walk the walk, but also you kind of feel like it's more off the record, I suppose, in a way, right?
Yeah, listen, let me tell you, support is very important. And in the time we live in now is better for these veterans now, these younger veterans, because technology has made it so you can keep in touch with anybody anywhere in the world. Whereas back when I was in, and guys that were in before me, there was no Facebook, there was no internet to do all that kind of stuff with. So one thing I can say about the internet, it has opened up doors for support and for camaraderie and for veterans to stay in touch with one another, which is very important that we have that team that Heather was talking about, that team, because that's what we are in the military. We are a team. We are a family set aside from civilians. It's almost like a secret society, if you ask me.
It is.
So to be able to reach out to those like-minded people is essential.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Heather, I was looking at your bio here. I noticed that, obviously it's not just veterans, also law enforcement, which obviously tend to a lot of times be retired veterans or, if they transition, so on and so forth. Kind of see the same things there, right? Sometimes it's looking, or it's the struggle of maybe asking for help when you know that you need to.
Exactly. In our law enforcement, they experience traumatic situations as well. And,
and nonstop
a lot of them
pressure,
also,
right? I mean, nonstop pressure these days.
100%.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're here for them as well to reach out and to touch back on that team aspect on things. I've really noticed that our Vietnam vets and our Afghanistan veterans, they experienced very similar situations, with the drawdown in Vietnam and Afghanistan was very similar. And I'm finding that when I pair a Vietnam veteran with an Afghanistan veteran, there's an instant bond, an instant friendship, and it's very therapeutic for both.
Wow, that is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Ben, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm a true believer that, listen, pain can be a motivator. So if your pain is the same as my pain, we can share our pain and we can grow from that and move on to something better. Some people never recover, but they become survivors.
Yeah, true. Very true. Well, Heather, as we wrap this up, we tend to ask, what's kind of a final thought or message that you would like to share? You've been doing this, again, for a very long time, helping folks. You've got family members involved. What's the message you'd like to kind of share for listeners out there who maybe are struggling or maybe know a family member who is struggling, right? That's sometimes a big challenge, too. It might not be your exact struggle, but a loved one is going through it, right? So what's the message you'd like to share?
So the message I would love to share for our civilians, our American civilians, is that a lot of society thinks that because the war on terror is no longer, that everything must be okay. Nobody's coming back wounded anymore. And I want to convey the fact that our veterans are still suffering. Our veterans with PTSD are still suffering. Like I said, going back, Vietnam, Korean War, they're still experiencing the post-traumatic stress symptoms, and they need help. And for us to help them, we need, our average Americans to step up and make those donations so that we can continue to support them to the best of our ability. To our veteran society, I want them to know that we're here for them. We're here for them if they need to call, if they're struggling. Like I said, we're here for them 24/7. We can get them mentors. We can get them financial help, and we can get them the aid that they need if they're struggling with post-traumatic stress and improve their lives.
Well, I tell you what, certainly on that procedure, that's certainly right there worthwhile to go check out. So again, if you have some of those issues, if you'd like to learn more, we're going to have the links in the description for you. Go and check those out and learn more about this procedure that we were discussing here today on the show. And again, if you need that help, again, check the resources on this week's show notes. As always, don't forget to subscribe to us on Untold Valor on whatever podcasting platform app you like to use. And thank you so much for your time this week. We certainly appreciate it. Great information and really informative.
Thank you so much.
Reverend Ben, thank you for your time, my friend. I always appreciate you.
Hey, likewise. And as usual, every time we do this, I learn something new.
Exactly. And Heather, thank you to your son for just being just a great story, boy. Just such a really heartwarming story as a young guy there to kind of see that and feel like he was motivated to do something. So, I mean, you've got to be so proud.
I am very proud of him. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much
for giving me the ability, to get this out there to everybody.
Oh, absolutely. And we'll share all the information. And again, we'll have the resources in the show descriptions for folks to check out. So don't forget to subscribe to Untold Valor on, again, whatever podcasting app you like using. And we will see you next time here on Untold Valor, Veterans Recovery in Action. You've been listening to Untold Valor by Voice and Vision. We hope you found the information and resources discussed today helpful. As always, thank you for listening and for your support. Remember to stay connected with us through our various social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Don't forget to visit the website, voiceandvisioninc.org. That's voiceandvisioninc.org, where you can sign up for our blog and find free resources and information on upcoming events, webinars, workshops, and get support. You can also access our free help and hope guide for individuals and families struggling with substance use and addiction. If someone you know is struggling, please reach out for help because you and your life matter. Remember, the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is available to you at any time by dialing 988. We are all ambassadors of hope and recovery, and if you want to share your story, please contact us. Compeer Corps is also looking for veteran mentor volunteers and veteran participants. To find out more information about Compeer Corps, please call 610-541-0790. That's 610-541-0790. You can find all the links and contact information for the resources mentioned on today's episode by checking the description and the show notes section of your app. Thank you again for tuning in and for your support. Until next time, this has been Untold Valor.